Hello, and thank you for joining us for our recording of our Masters of Social Work MSW program informational meeting. We do these recordings and post them on our website in order for applicants and those interested in San Jose State University School of Social Work Master's program to get oriented to what we offer in terms of our graduate program and the application and admissions process. Before we start, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Dr. Peter Allen Lee. My pronouns are he, him, his. I'm currently the director of the school and also a professor here. And I would like my colleague, Dr. Thomas, to please introduce herself.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. Hello, applicant. I'm Dr. Thomas. I am the school coordinator, the undergraduate and graduate advisor, and I also lead the admission process at the School of Social Work. I'm excited to see you here.
Thank you. So as you know, as we are going to continue to present these things, you might have additional questions. We just want to remind you that we have much more detailed information on our school website, as well as other videos that are available for you. When we discuss our MSW program, we actually have three different options that are listed here on the slide, but you'll notice that there are also particular options that are available. For example, advanced standing, that's available both in our on-campus and in our online hybrid options. We also will be describing to you our new 3-year evening only option, which we will have specific slides on in a moment. Our series of recording that you can refer to on your own time include our explanation of our school as an advanced generalist practice program. Also, the transcultural perspective is our version of diversity model, where you can see that video that specifically explains the components and what the transcultural perspective represents. And then also for those who are interested in our online hybrid program, we have a specific video that details what that option looks like. The format for this informational session is in what we call a flip format. What we're hoping to do is that you all will be viewing this recording in as much detail as possible. And because it is a recording, you can always fast forward, you can skip, you can repeat, go at your own pace. But we're asking participants who are thinking of applying to our program to view this entire material first before attending our actual Q&A informational meetings. So the informational meetings will not be a presentation of this material that you're viewing here in the recording. It will be primarily Q&A. So please come prepared for the Q&A by viewing this information first. Some key considerations, and Dr. Thomas and I had been discussing a little bit about from our experience in the application and the admissions process, and then also what incoming students have experienced. We have these particular circumstances that we would like to highlight and that they would influence your decision, or possibly even if you're admitted, sometimes students forget that there's particular dynamics or circumstances that affect whether or not they stay in the program. So the first part that we would like to highlight here is our diversity model. As we had mentioned, the transcultural perspective is our version of the diversity model. And we want to say that the components of the transcultural perspective are not anything new. We'll have a slide on that in a moment. It is our greatest strength in terms of many students, staff, and faculty members come because they're interested in exploring and also being able to model and use the transcultural perspective. But it's also our greatest weakness in the sense that our program and our school, as well as probably all other institutions, are still struggling with what does it mean to be an anti-racist program, promoting social justice, being able to identify with diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so we don't want to say that we have that all figured out. We definitely don't. It is one of the areas in which we are continuing our journey. And so sometimes when students come, they say like, yeah, you have the transcultural perspective at the heart of your mission, and yet you still struggle with it. So we don't want students to feel that we have the full understanding of it, but it is a commitment that we are making towards anti-racism, social justice, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Course and program scheduling. Attending graduate school requires quite a bit of commitment and resources, and that includes financial resources, your time, also making sure that your family and significant others understand the commitment that you're making, probably maybe even adjusting what major areas in your life that you have to have in order to dedicate yourself to a graduate program. So oftentimes students, when they come into the program, they don't realize that there's a huge commitment, not only in terms of the courses that they would need to take and the course load, but also the scheduling of when the courses occur. And then also when internship is in place, internship is a significant amount of time each week in the program. And for those students who are working, who have significant family responsibilities, are just looking at how much financial commitment as well as time, they're oftentimes surprised because they did not realize the full amount of commitment, time, and other resources that is needed to be successful in attending courses, doing the homework, doing the internship, and also that our program and our courses are not customizable in terms of picking exactly when you want to take courses. We will explain that in our different program options. For example, our 3-year evening only option, as well as our cohort model. So again, please understand that you will need to make some plans about what type of commitment you're willing to make, even though, of course, we're trying to do our best to support our students.
Dr. Lee, I'm going to interject here and add a significant and important point that I have noticed. As you go through these slides, in reference to what Dr. Lee just mentioned about course and programs scheduling, because we have various program options, applicants are sometimes confused or just miss the details. So what I would suggest is actually, make notes about it, right? How does the on-campus program look? How does the online program look? And how does the 3-year option look? So you can actually make an informed decision about which program you want to be in. I've seen instances where applicants think that they've applied to the online program, but they've applied to the on-campus program, and then they want the online schedule. So prepare yourself as you even start viewing these slides, right? This slide is this information is what will guide your decision in terms of schedule and how that looks, in terms of your life commitment and what you want to do in the next 2 years.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas. The third aspect that we wanted to highlight at the very beginning of the presentation is the cost of tuition. And so remember that there are 2 major types of programs that we offer for MSW. One is the on-campus in-person program, which we will highlight later as a 2-year full-time program or a 3-year evening only program. And evening only, remember that it still needs to include internship that are happening during the daytime hours when agencies are operating. And then also our special sessions online hybrid program. We will be reviewing some of the basic financials that are attached to each of those programs and those program options. But oftentimes students are needing to plan much more ahead and anticipate how much financial resources are needed to commit to come to school. So in terms of our on-campus program, it is still sponsored by the CSU system, so San Jose State, and is what is called a general sessions program. So the fee structure, where it's state subsidized, is according to what you see when you visit the bursar's office webpage. The tuition is something that compared to other type of universities, such as University of California system or private schools, is still less expensive in comparison. However, we don't want to assume what your financial situation would be, because any type of financial commitment may still be a concern or burden to you. So just understand what is the cost of tuition. Compared to our special sessions online hybrid MSW program option, the tuition is much more expensive. And that is because it is not state subsidized. The full cost of the tuition in our online program is sponsored through special sessions, which means that the student bears the entire cost of what it is needed to come to school. Again, we'll be sharing with you what those particular costs will be later on in the presentation, but sometimes the financial planning aspect is not fully considered when students are in the program or when folks are thinking about applying to program. Now, in terms of the tuition, even for our special sessions online hybrid program, if you were to compare to other CSUs that offer online MSW programs, it is about midway in terms of the cost in the spectrum. But the CSU, and especially our program in terms of special sessions for our MSW program, is still less expensive than the private school options that you may be investigating. The last point that we wanted to highlight at the outset is the potential for employment. There is a severe shortage still in California for social workers, and the state has been recently putting more emphasis in developing workforce, especially in areas such as public behavioral health, adult protective services, child welfare, and school settings. And so depending on where you live in California, you might see some variability about the employment and what type of salaries you would be making. But in general, employment is available for graduates from social work programs. And because there are these other opportunities where there's either scholarships or stipend and training opportunities, where the government or these particular counties, either the government at the county level or at the state level, are trying to encourage social workers to go into certain specializations of employment, you should also consider taking advantage of those financial opportunities, especially if you want to work in one of those areas.
And Dr. Lee, I think what is significant about our school, and we are very proud of it, is often our community partners report back to us how much more our graduates are prepared to enter the workforce, right? Because of the opportunities we give them to pursue the areas of interest, the mentoring that they get in the field, when they go through their internships. So that's something the school is very proud of. And I think this again speaks to what Dr. Lee was just talking about, the employment opportunities. Our students are more prepared to start work after they graduate.
Mm-hmm. One of the other things that you as prospective students for our program should consider is when you're comparing or trying to decide which MSW program to go to, is to think about what type of training and stipend and scholarship opportunities are available to you, and whether or not there is the opportunity that you're looking for at the particular program that you're interested in going to. Okay, thank you. So here at the MSW program, San Jose State University, our School of Social Work is housed in the College of Health and Human Sciences. And in our college, we also have other disciplines such as nursing, occupational therapy, public health, kinesiology, etc. So our on-campus program was founded in 1969. Our online hybrid program was founded in 2016, and we started our advanced standing program in 2021. And so now these programs have a little bit more history. Our school has already gone past our 50th anniversary, and we're very proud about the history and the longevity that we've had in being able to offer graduate programs here. All of our programs are accredited by the Council on Social Work Education, or CSWE, and we want to note that whatever school you go to for an MSW, you want to make sure that you are going to an accredited program. And the reason why that is because when you seek licensure or employment, the accreditation portion is very important to employers and also to other folks that are looking at where or what type of training you have had in your MSW program. And accreditation is one of those signatures that they're going to be looking for in terms of where you did, how you have been prepared for the profession. As we had mentioned, the transcultural perspective is at the heart of our mission. And our vision is to provide leadership that advances social justice from a transcultural perspective for the health and well-being of those who are marginalized in an increasingly diverse society. There is a separate presentation on the transcultural perspective, but we want to remind you that, again, these components are not unique or new to you or to most folks, but the way that we package them is what we really value in terms of our transcultural perspective. Cultural knowledge, cultural competency, which is now an outdated term. Probably a better term now is cultural humility and cultural sensitivity, power, privilege, and oppression, positionality and self-reflexivity, and respectful partnership. This is a list of the Council on Social Work Education competencies and as we had mentioned for the previous slide about making sure you go to an accredited program, all accredited programs are responsible for covering these 9 competencies, which are based on the latest educational policies and standards, or EPOS. And so as you review those, please just make sure that you understand that our goals and objectives in our teaching and our training are based on these 9. And whatever school or program you go to, you should also see how the competencies are covered. As an overview about what our MSW program looks like and where it's seated, so San Jose State University, we have our MSW program, and we have 2 buckets in which we offer our program options. We had mentioned one is the online hybrid MSW program, and the other one is the on-campus MSW program. In the online hybrid MSW program, you should plan on a 2-year commitment of continuous enrollment. So this course plan does cover a 2 calendar years, including 1 summer in between. There is also an advanced standing program option. And for those of you who are not familiar with advanced standing, this is available for those applicants who have earned a bachelor's in social work from an accredited program, who can apply to skip the foundation or the generalist year of an MSW program, take summer bridge courses, and go immediately to the final year of the MSW program. And that is why it's called a 1-year advanced standing program. In the on-campus MSW program options, as mentioned, we have a 2-year full-time program, and that runs on traditional semesters, so there are no social work programs offered during the summer. And then we have a 3-year evening-only program, which, as it denotes, it's 3-year, and we no longer use the term part-time, is because oftentimes students understand that part-time has a particular connotation. So as we go through the course plan, when we get to that slide, the traditional courses for the on-campus program, they're in person, and in the 3-year evening only program, your traditional courses are scheduled in the evening. So for all 3 years, your courses are in the evening. However, your internship, as we'll explain in more detail, does happen during regular agency business hours. And so the internships are not exclusively in the evening. In fact, you would need to be available during the daytime, given that that's when most of the services and client interaction occurs. Similar to the online hybrid MSW program, the on-campus MSW program also has a 1-year advanced standing program option. Again, you have to have a bachelor's degree in social work from an accredited program. And you would have to make sure that when you apply, you qualify, because you are skipping an entire year to go through bridge and then going into the final year of the MSW curriculum. So let's talk a little bit more detail about the program options for on-campus. So when you think about on-campus, many students still want to have an in-person experience. And when we do this for our on-campus programs, our school uses what's called a cohort-based enrollment and learning community strategy. So that means that within your generalist year, in your cohort, you'll be taking classes with the same group of students for all of those generalist courses. So what that means is that, for example, if you have your research course with a particular set of students, you're also going to be taking your practice course with the same set of students. You also have to realize that the scheduling of the cohorts are determined by the school. So when we talk about that in more detail, different from other programs that might give students the option to choose their professor and their time and to mix and match for a customized schedule, we do not do that here. So you have to understand the pros and cons of a cohort model. Cohort model is in all of our programs. In the on-campus program, it's in our 2-year full-time, and also in our 3-year evening-only program. And also in terms of advanced standing, you will have your advanced standing students together in the bridge program, but not necessarily later on when you get to your specialized year.
Dr. Lee, 2 more points to add here. One, in the advanced year or in the second year for the 2-year program, and for the third year in the 3-year program, we don't follow the cohort model. Depending on the electives you take, you'll have a different group of students you go to school with. And I also want to emphasize that recently we've been getting questions like, can I take one class on campus and one class online? No, you can't, choose even across programs like that. Every program has its own schedule. Every program has its own mandates. Although the curriculum is the same, or you go out with the same degree, across the programs, you can't take one on-campus class and one online class. That's not how it works. So when you make these decisions, please consider all of these time commitments and what it means to actually start the program and be with us for the next 2 or 3 years, depending on the program you're in, or even 1 year and a summer.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas.
Next slide.
Yes, please. So continuing on, when we explain the 2-year full-time program, in your generalist year, students are expected to take your courses primarily during daytime hours, and that could be any time between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. The cohorts are assigned classes usually on a Monday, Friday pattern or a Wednesday, Friday pattern. So again, when we started off with the presentation about students planning ahead about the time commitment, remember that these are particular types of models, the cohort model, and also the way that we arrange classes that are designed and making sure that they're predetermined by the school. So again, you cannot mix and match, nor can you customize your schedule. The field internship in the first year is usually on Tuesdays and Thursdays during daytime agency business hours. So oftentimes students will say like, well, I need to find as much time to work during the daytime. So can you find me a weekend or an evening only internship? We cannot guarantee that. You can always request, but just from experience, really this is part of the time commitment and the rearranging of your schedule to plan about what the commitment is in terms of the MSW curriculum that we have. Students in the advanced specialized years must be available to take classes on Mondays and Tuesdays between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. Internships will then be usually on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, again, during daytime agency business hours. So this is one of the areas that Dr. Thomas and I have received quite a bit of feedback from students where we ask them, how much did you plan ahead for this type of schedule? Because students will say, well, I wasn't aware that in my advanced specialized year that I had to take classes all day or be available for classes all day on Mondays and Tuesdays. I work on Mondays, so you have to give me all my classes on Tuesdays. Or I have family responsibilities in the evening, so you have to give me all daytime classes. Again, please plan ahead. These schedules are designed again according to when our internship arrangements are made and also when the classes are available for us in the curriculum. So remember that in your advanced and specialized year, you need to be available to take classes on Monday and Tuesdays between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. We have a new evening only 3-year program, and we want to make sure that we clarify what we mean by that. There is a course plan that you can also click on. There is another slide that will show an image of an example course plan. But oftentimes when you're viewing the recording, you might need to have your own copy or be able to see it. That's where the link is to give you a little bit more detail. So this option currently focuses only on the children, youth, and families area of interest. And the reason why that is because we are only now piloting the second admission class for this evening only 3-year program option. So what that means is there is not yet a critical mass of students in the 3-year program in which we can offer all of the choices of classes and electives only in the evening. So what we've designed is the children, youth, and families area of interest so that we can guarantee that students in the 3-year program can take classes only in the evening in order to fulfill the degree requirements, but that also means that the choice of electives that are offered in the evening are also limited. And currently, again, it's focusing only to fulfill the children, youth, and families areas of interest. Students will be expected to take 2 to 3 generalist year classes in the first 2 years of the program in the evening hours, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., usually Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. Field internship will be in the second and third year of the 3-year program. And again, these internship hours are during daytime agency business hours. So oftentimes students will say, well, but you said evening only 3-year program. But we want to clarify here, very importantly, that agencies offer services primarily during regular business hours. So the courses we can design to be in the evening, but the internships have to be during the regular agency business hours. In the third year, which is the advanced specialized year, again, it's 2 classes per semester, and again, in the evening hours, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., usually Mondays, Tuesdays, and or Wednesdays. So when you think about your choice for the 3-year program, oftentimes students will say like, well, that sounds great because I need to keep my daytime job. And so we've decided to try to make this option available, and we're trying it so that students can have more daytime working hours. But remember that the internship commitment is still during the daytime. As we continue to explore the different options for the MSW program on campus, there is the Advanced Standing program. So students will enter through the summer bridge courses and then join final year students in the completion of the degree, hence the 1 year. In the final year, it's equivalent to a full-time final year. Thus, students in their advanced and specialized year are expected to take classes just like the folks in the 2-year program in the final year on Mondays and Tuesdays between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. And again, internship will usually be on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays during daytime agency business hours. Internships are traditionally during regular daytime business hours across all program options. That includes on-campus as well as online. And in the final year classes, students will not be in cohorts, as Dr. Thomas mentioned. So the cohort model is primarily in your generalist and your foundation year courses. When students choose their different areas of interest, they will not have the same classmates because their classmates might be choosing a different area of interest. So now we're moving on to the online hybrid MSW program options. So there is a separate video that goes into much more detail about this option. So we just want to remind you that that link is part of the slide deck. There is also the 1-year advanced standing option available in the online hybrid program. And then it's usually a 2-year online program that requires continuous enrollment through the academic years, including summer enrollment. Currently, our MSW program that is online hybrid is only accepting California students and residents, meaning if you're admitted to the online hybrid program, students must be able to study and complete internships in California. Now, as you investigate other online hybrid or distance learning programs, there are many universities that offer programs outside of California. Currently, San Jose State University School of Social Work is only offering our online hybrid program to California students and residents. And that's because our relationships with agencies are specific to California as a state, and also our familiarity with policies and procedures in California is what we are able to focus on. Even though we've had some folks that live right on the border, like Oregon, Nevada, etc., we just are not able to accommodate those types of requests for students and enrollment in our online hybrid program, simply because the policies and procedures are different once the student is outside of California. Academic courses are completed online in a synchronous and in an asynchronous fashion. So what that means is that the students will meet with the professors during the class time for a synchronous portion, but a lot of your work, especially the preparation, the homework, all the other type of studying is done asynchronously. These are on weekday evening predetermined class times for the synchronous sessions. And then again, field education is traditionally completed in person at an agency near your geographic location. So that's why the program is called online hybrid, because the courses are online, but the internships are in person. So sometimes we get questions, let's say for a person who lives in Southern California, and they would say, mean I have to commute to San Jose or commute to the Bay Area to do my internship? No, no. What we do is we try to use our connections with our agency partners that are in your geographic area to try to place and match you so that your commute would be minimized. There is not a guarantee that we can again give you your perfect choice or your primary choice. But as our online hybrid program grows and our field internships also expand, we are able to at least look for something that is within commuting distance within your geographic area. Continuing on, so we do use a cohort-based enrollment similar to the on-campus program in the online hybrid program. So students will be taking generalist courses with the same classmates. Synchronous class times are usually on the weekday evenings, 2 to 3 nights per week after 6 o'clock p.m. And then internships, again, we say this over and over. They occur in person and take place during regular daytime agency business working hours. So agency business working hours usually vary, but typically they're like 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. on weekdays. And in the final year of classes, 2-year online hybrid students, as we had mentioned, will not be in cohorts since you're going to be choosing different areas of interest from some of your classmates. Those synchronous class times are also on the weekday evenings. So when you think about the online hybrid program, remember at the beginning of the presentation, we talked about the type of commitment that you would need to make, not only in terms of your time, but also your finances. So when you think about the financial planning, the on-campus program has a less expensive tuition fee because it is a state subsidized program. The online hybrid program, the fees are solely responsible to be covered by students. So the incoming year, for those of you who are going to be starting in fall of 2025, remember that this recording is in preparation for admission to fall 2025. We're anticipating that the cost per unit will be $630. So the other part of it there that says $23,310 for a total of 37 units, that is if you are admitted to the advanced standing program, and then $37,800 total for a 60-unit degree plan. Both the on-campus and the online program carry a 60-unit degree plan because it's basically the same degree, just a different format. But the cost of the degree and the tuition is significantly higher in the online hybrid program. We encourage you to do cost comparison because, again, if you check out other type of online or distance learning programs at other CSUs or other USCs and private institutions, you can do your own cost comparison about whether the tuition that San Jose State is charging is comparable, is less, more expensive than you anticipated. You would need to make that decision. We also want to let you know that the university announced that they're going to be increasing these fees approximately 5% per year starting in 2025. So $630 per unit when the incoming class starts in fall of 2025, then 662, 695, 729, etc. Again, the cost of education, unfortunately, is becoming more expensive, but the CSU system and San Jose State University is trying to keep up with what is needed for the expenses while also trying to keep, in terms of comparison to other universities and other programs, something affordable. Please note that these fee schedules may change as determined by the university and by the system, and then some type of financial assistance when you view the specific presentation on the online hybrid program. You have to be careful about what type of financial assistance is actually available to online hybrid students compared to the on-campus and the general session students. So these range of tuition, especially for online and distance Masters of Social Work degree programs, we encourage you in the just what we had just mentioned to do your own research. From what we have looked at currently at the time of this recording, the tuition for for an online or a distance learning program ranges from 28,500 to as much as 90,000 or almost $90,000. So again, if you do your cost comparison, just be aware of what it is that you're looking for, what you can afford, and also what type of situation would help you best. So we're going to repeat this part again about financial planning. Attending graduate school involves significant financial planning. So please visit these offices for an explanation of fees and tuition. So for the on-campus program, it's the bursar's office. For the online hybrid program, we have a professional college that governs the tuition and also the other information on finances for the online hybrid program. And then the provost office has also announced these fee increases. If you're wondering where more information can be found about how much is going to be increasing and why. And then also we encourage you to explore the financial aid and scholarship office and other financial support that you may be considering. Just as another note here, the university and the most university systems do offer some type of financial aid advice and some type of scholarship, but sometimes students forget that you can go outside of university systems to look for financial support. For example, if you do an internet search just on available scholarships, as well as maybe some of folks who have connections to other organizations, community programs. Sometimes people belong to particular places of employment in which they also offer financial assistance to go back to school. Basically, what we're saying is don't just rely on university financial aid and scholarships. Do an internet search, do your own research about what other type of scholarships and financial aid might be available to you. If you're interested in the online hybrid program, please subscribe to the email for notifications, and those links there will take you so that the coordinator for the online hybrid program can communicate with you with more information. Orientation. So orientation is very important in terms of when students are admitted into our program. We want to be able to give as much resource to start off your experience with us as best as possible. So if you're admitted into our MSW program, whether you're an on-campus or an online hybrid or advanced standing student, please expect to do some summer reading and writing preparation before you start the program. And there will be a mandatory orientation in August before the start of classes. The exact format and length are usually to be determined for that incoming class, but historically we have had these events in person, including for the online hybrid students. And that's because we want students to be able to experience and meet their classmates, as well as key faculty and staff that are here. And then we also design our experiences and our activities in orientation to be able to build your networking and familiarity. So on-campus students usually expect that, okay, it's in person because we signed up for an in-person experience. But remember, online hybrid students are also expected to come in person to orientation activities. Please also expect to attend a mandatory field education fair in late May or early June in order to help you prepare for internship. Now, for on-campus students, they're expected to come in person. For online students, if you live close to our geographic area, you're welcome to come to the in-person field fair, but the field education office has also been designing virtual field fairs that also add support to online hybrid students. When those events come closer, the school and the field education office sends out more information. When we talk about the curriculum, in the generalist year, or basically the first part of your curricular experience with us, it is contained in year 1 for on-campus 2-year students and also online hybrid students, and years 1 and 2 for on-campus 3-year evening-only students. All graduate students are required to pass the Graduate Writing Assessment Requirement, or GWAR, and the competencies that we had mentioned earlier in the presentation and the generalist skills are contained within 5 content areas: field education, human behavior in the social environment, or HBSE, social policy, social work practice, and social work research. When you think about the specialized year, this is the advanced or generalist or the specialized year for all MSW students. So that could be in the second year or the final year for whatever program that you're in. The focus is on competencies and specialized skills within one concentration. And our concentration is called transcultural multi-systems, which complements our advanced generalist approach. So as an advanced generalist program, we offer diverse education and training, including coursework and electives in areas of interest, including mental health, children, youth, and families, and health and aging. Now, at this point, we want to remind you that for those who are interested in the 3-year evening only program, your area of interest currently is restricted to the children, youth, and families area of interest option. And as we explained earlier, that is because there is not critical mass yet to offer a full or a wider range of electives in which we can schedule those courses in the evening. So 3-year evening only students, remember, children, youth, and families area of interest only at this time.
Dr. Lee, I would also like to add that, given the curriculum and our approach, that's the advanced generalist practice, we get questions from students or applicants who ask, can they take the licensing exam, right? Because is it a clinical practice, focused curriculum? But although we look at our curriculum in terms of advanced generalist practice, all our students, all our graduates are eligible to take the licensing exam. Should we discuss that a little bit?
We can discuss that in terms of, so remember Dr. Thomas and I had reminded folks the importance of coming from an accredited program, CSW accredited. So Dr. Thomas is reminding us that sometimes students, different from if you apply to a marriage family therapy program, an MST program, or a counseling program, oftentimes licensure or licensing hours are included in that program. But in an MSW program, all MSW programs, you do not even start your collection of licensing hours, experience hours, until after you finish your MSW degree. But anyone who graduates from an accredited MSW program, which of course includes ours, is eligible for the licensure process, the licensed clinical social work process upon graduation. Dr. Thomas, is that what we're referring to?
Yes, and this is a good segue for us to also point out that ours is not a program that focuses on therapies. So if you're coming looking for an intense, immersive experience in different kinds of therapies, like how MFTs do their training, this is not the program for you. Of course, we do have internships, and a curriculum does have some elements of that. Again, we are an advanced generalist practice. You can practice social work in any areas of interest, and you can take the licensing exams, but this is not a program that focuses on just clinical practice or clinical social work, right? Just be intensely aware of it, because sometimes students come back and say that they're disappointed. They thought they're going to, get training in different kinds of therapies and to do clinical practice only.
Mm-hmm. We should also point out that even though we don't advertise ourselves as a clinical program, we definitely have internship sites and agencies that offer clinical experience. So just like most other MSW programs, we have, for example, internships in mental health clinics, in hospitals, in other community agencies that do provide therapy, in school settings where counseling is important. So it's not that we don't have clinical opportunities. It's just that we also want to make sure students are not expecting that they would get specific training, like Dr. Thomas said, in all of these different modes of therapy, whereas you might want to go to a clinical focus program for that. There is a separate video about our advanced generalist focus. And again, we encourage students to view not just that video, but the other videos that will give you a better description in these particular details. Since Dr. Thomas had mentioned that, the other question that we get often is, well, I'm interested in policy work or macro social work. And we also don't advertise ourselves as a macro management administrative training program. However, similar to our explanation about clinical programs, we do have internships in agencies that offer these type of macro experiences. So it is something that you want to consider whether San Jose State School of Social Work does offer enough opportunity for those things that you're looking for. But again, there are other MSW programs that actually offer a macro or an administrative track, and you might want to investigate those as well.
Next slide.
Yes, please. Okay, so okay, we know that this slide is like the wording is really, really small, okay? And sometimes Dr. Thomas also says, Dr. Lee, you're speaking very fast. So remember that on your playback, you can probably reduce the speed of the playback, or you can increase it if you want to go even faster. In the same way, you could like zoom in on this if you need to, or this also example is posted on our website. Okay, I'm not going to go into detail reading every line for you, but we just want to give you an indication that there are examples of 2-year on-campus course plans where it lays out which courses you take. Remember, it's cohort system for the generalist year, the first year of courses, and then in a specialized year, that's where you choose your area of interest and can see a little bit more about the electives that we offer. Also, we want to note that when we get to the slides about particular areas of interest that also offer stipend and training programs, that will also affect which type of courses that you will take, especially in the specialized year. Okay, next slide. So this is the continuation of the examples of course plans. So again, we apologize that it's really small, but again, you can find this on the website or zoom in on the presentation on the recording. So this is the example of the 3-year evening only MSW program. So as you notice, one of the things that we want to make sure is that the course plan has the 3 courses in each semester for the first 2 years, and these are scheduled evening only. But you'll notice that for some of the electives, you don't have choice on what those electives are because it's only offered in the children, youth, and families area of interest during this particular time. If in the future our 3-year evening only program option becomes very, very popular, where many more students are able to come into that option, we can think about expanding the electives during the evening, but currently children, youth, and families only. So then when you see the bottom portion of the specialized year curriculum, you'll see these asterisks in there that talk about, like, for example, one of the reasons why we created evening only is because our partners in county child welfare were interested in being able to support their work-study students, and they could only really take classes in the evening. So that's why you'll see some child welfare specific requirements mentioned in the asterisks. And then one other thing that we haven't mentioned yet that we should highlight now, if a 3-year evening only program student really wants to have an option in some other area of interest, let's say they want to earn their pupil personnel services credential, their PPSC, or they really want to take advantage of the behavioral health stipend program, you can still do that. However, you would need to be available to take those courses when they're scheduled. So for example, if you're interested in the PPSC program, the PPSC program usually offers its specific practice course either in the morning or in the afternoon. And so when students who are applying to 3-year programs said, hey, I came to this program because I want to earn my PPSC, we're telling you up front, it's children, youth, and families option only. And if you want to take those other courses, you're welcome to do so, but you would then need to be available other than the evening only times for when these courses are scheduled. Dr. Thomas, am I explaining that correctly?
Yes, you are, Dr. Lee. And I'm glad you emphasized that because sometimes, given all these different options, applicants don't think through this, and because they're excited to apply, they want to become part of the program. But these are important details that they need to be aware of before they actually make that commitment if they're admitted to the program. And I think you really, explained all of it in a very succinct manner. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Next slide. The next couple of slides are the sample course plans for the online hybrid program. Again, we're not going to highlight every single thing that's in here, But remember, as explained in the previous slides, you're thinking about two, uh, 2 years of continuous enrollment with a summer embedded in between. So there are summer courses available, actually, summer courses required for online hybrid students, whereas in the on-campus program, it's traditional semesters. So this slide is one part of the typical course plan for online hybrid, and the next slide, I believe, is the follow-up to that. Again, these are available on the website, and there's also a separate presentation about the online hybrid program. Actually, there's also now a new separate presentation for the 3-year evening only program as well. So if you're interested in more discussion or presentation on that, please check out our other videos. Okay. Advanced standing. So students in the advanced standing program, remember, these are students who have already earned a bachelor's in social work degree from an accredited program and are trying to forego the entire first year of an MSW program because of their training and preparation. So the advanced standing program, you still will need to take what's called summer bridge courses, which includes a graduate writing assessment requirement course, or the GWAR course, which is in our program labeled 200W, and then an integrated theory, practice, and field education course, which is designated as Social Work 215, and then a graduate social work research design and analysis, kind of like a refresher to be able to have you be ready for capstone, which is labeled Social Work 243.
Next slide.
Yes, please. Okay, so we also have additional curriculum, and Dr. Thomas and I would like to highlight that most MSW programs have some form of additional curriculum available, training programs, stipend programs, what have you. So make sure when you do your research, if you want this specialized training above your usual MSW curriculum, make sure you know what's available and what's required of you. So here at San Jose State's School of Social Work, we have the Title IV Child Welfare Training and Stipend Program. So there's additional curriculum and an application needed in order for you to apply not only to the university, the School of Social Work MSW program, but you also have a separate application to the 4E program. So make sure you understand and remember that's there. It's mainly for the on-campus program, although we've been piloting and trying to expand options for online students. It depends on what type of partnership we have with the counties that offer this type of 4E training. There is a part-time, and this is the only time that we would use the phrase part-time, is Title IV-E does have an allowance for a part-time student in that fashion, okay? So you think about that. And again, we made our 3-year evening only program partially because of the request from county child welfare system services, that they wanted to make sure that their work study program students could stay employed in their regular positions while coming to school. So there is a new option that we're exploring for 4E and juvenile probation, which is still governed under 4E. So if you're interested, contact the 4E program about that, and you'll notice the contact information on that link there. Another example of additional curriculum is our Pupil Personnel Services Credential, or PPSC. So for our program is for California residents only, and that's because the PPSC is governed differently state by state, and so we are looking at California credentialing. This is one of the other type of stipend programs that are available specifically through Santa Clara County and their Office of Education. They are offering a very generous stipend and training program to help pay for school, but also being committed to serving in a high-need school within Santa Clara County. This option for PPSC is not available for advanced standing students because of the PPSC requirements. And then also, if you still want your PPSC and you're not able to earn it while you're going through the MSW program, you can consider our postmaster's PPSC option. So for example, advanced standing students who wanted the PPSC often will consider our postmaster's program for PPSC. And those of you who might be viewing this that need to have a different option, or you already have your MSW, the postmaster's PPSC option is available for you as well. The additional curriculum also includes the public behavioral health This is a training and stipend program, Adult Protective Services or APS, and Integrated Behavioral Health. Now, if you're wondering what are the details about the application process, as well as how much is the stipend and when is this offered, our school website has specific information about each of these training and stipend programs, and we encourage you to visit there, for which you will also find the contact information for the project coordinators that you can get more detailed information from them. Finally, we also have an advanced social work practice in gerontology certificate, an advanced social work practice in mental health certificate, and then opportunity to earn Spanish language counseling proficiency. So these are available for the program options that we have discussed. And again, they each have a program coordinator or a program lead, and you can contact them for more details. So if you're interested in these special certifications or preparation, not just on this slide, but the previous ones, please check out what we have to offer. Okay, we have said this in previous parts of our presentation today, but we want to remind that field education is a significant portion, is actually one of the cornerstones of social work education, and we want to make sure that we highlight some of the important things about it. So agencies and organizations have to be approved by the field education office. So what that means is that students will often ask, well, I have an agency that I'm already working at, or there's one down the street from me that I'm interested in serving at. That's the one that I want to be an intern in. And you have to remember that any type of official internship that is approved by the school has to make sure that the agency has a valid and working contract with San Jose State University and the School of Social Work to be an approved internship site. It cannot just be any old agency. And the reason why that we go through that is because we need to guarantee for accreditation purposes and for the training and education requirements that the proper learning experiences, the proper supervision, and then also just the circumstances and the opportunities at that agency meet the standards that we're required to have. The placement in an organization is a collaborative process with the field education office. So that means that the student has a significant role, as well as the school and the agencies, in this partnership to find internships to help you be as successful as possible. Different from other programs, sometimes other schools of social work, the responsibility is solely on the student, or the school dictates and determines the internships for the student. For us, it's a collaborative process. There's a wide range of field education opportunities, but we also want to note that some geographic areas have more limited options. So earlier in the session, we had said that we would try to find something within your geographic region. You don't travel here to San Jose or the San Francisco Bay Area for the internships if you live far away. We look for something that's close to you. However, that does not necessarily mean that it's right next door. It still would have to be something sometimes within a reasonable commute distance. And some examples would be if you're in an extreme rural area of California, or you're in an area in which there's just not as many social service agencies because of your population base, then some geographic areas do have more limited options. And that is something that you want to consider as you're applying to our program as well, about making some type of informed choice about where your internships are likely to be, and whether or not you're willing to be flexible in terms of the internships that we can find in partnership with you. We also need to note that internship placements are not guaranteed. In some cases, internship placement can be delayed. So students will ask, well, what does that mean? You know, what delays or what prevents me from getting an internship? There are many different reasons in which it could happen. So from experience, examples would include one that we already mentioned. If you live in a place in which there are just not very many social service agencies that deliver services, and those agencies are either not taking interns or restricted, your placement can be delayed because it would take you as the student, as well as us, to be able to find a viable internship. Okay. Another situation is that many agencies require students to get background checks. And so if there is some concern raised from a background check, for example, if somebody is interested in an agency in which there's a significant amount of home visits or driving that is necessary, and that candidate has a DUI on their record, then it may be more difficult in order to get approved for that internship because of the driving record. In some cases where there is some type of misdemeanor or felony on a background check, depending on what it is, it could also restrict or even prevent you from working with particular populations or in particular agencies or situations. So it's very important that that you understand that internship placement is not guaranteed. Now, it doesn't mean that the school won't do its best to try to match you and to find internship for you, but we want to be transparent in that in some cases, internship placement is extremely difficult. And so you just have to be ready for some of the challenges and delays that could occur in these situations.
Dr. Lee, I was just wondering, as you were talking about this, does state funding also determine this process to some extent? Are organizations that get specific type of funding, if there is any kind of cutbacks on it, does that also lead to a situation where internships can sometimes get delayed, or the process can be a little more ambiguous than usual?
Yes, especially if the agency is funded federally or is a federal agency like a VA, or if it's a county office like a county child welfare uh, program or some sort of that. There are also specific requirements in which those students would meet. And if there are budget cuts or supervision becomes unavailable, unfortunately, sometimes internships have ended or become unavailable midstream just because of budget cuts or changes that are out of our control. So again, we don't want to raise your anxiety too high in terms of like, oh my goodness, so does that mean there's really no assurances or that I'm out on my own? Again, we cannot guarantee that an internship placement can be found for every single student, especially if these particular circumstances that we had mentioned arise. But the school will do its very best to try to help students navigate this so that they can have the best option or best possibility to secure an internship. In field education, you also have particular supervisors and colleagues that will be supporting you. So the field instructor or the FI is the person who's responsible for your supervision at the agency, whereas the faculty field liaison or the FFL is an actual faculty member at San Jose State in the School of Social Work that serves as the connection between the student in the school and the agency that they're interning at. So the field instructor is an agency employee. The faculty field liaison is a university instructor or professor. The social work learning opportunities, we want to make sure that we prepare students for practice from a transcultural multi-systems perspective. They're usually direct service experiences, but as we had also mentioned, we do have agencies that offer indirect or macro service experiences. And when you interview or looking at how to match with particular internship experiences and agencies, you would want to keep these things in mind. Internships are in person, including in the online hybrid program. And remember, and we probably said this over and over and over again, they have to be available during regular agency hours and when proper supervision is available. And so sometimes we find students that will be asking, like, well, the agency offers 24/7 service, so why can't I be interning in the evening or on the weekends? Remember, it's not just your availability, but it's also the availability of proper supervision. So please prepare that your internships will be during regular agency business hours and in person. If a student has a health concern related to in-person internship, they can request accommodations with San Jose State University. So the San Jose State University, as well as pretty much every university, has the equivalent of an accessibility education center, an accommodations office, something that will help if a student has some type of concern with a disability or some type of situation that needs a formal accommodation. So we rely on the university office to be able to manage those requests and to be able to review and grant those accommodation requests, and they would do that in partnership with the school. Students are required to complete 1,050 hours of internship experience over 2 academic years. In addition, there might be some additional fees. And again, this is part of the highlight about the financial commitment. Students are responsible for if an agency requires some type of other processes or equipment that is specific to that agency. So the students need to plan ahead for this. So it could be supplementary technology, it could be some type of supervisional support that is specific to your area of interest. It could be onboarding requirements such as paying for the background check procedure, immunizations, other documentation, some of these types of things that the student would bear responsibility for. So please be aware and plan ahead for added fees that can range from $50 to $400. This is from experience. This is just a guide. It could be less, it could be more, but we just want you to be aware that students do often encounter additional fees because of the internship that is in placement with them. And again, we want to remind folks that placement is not guaranteed. These following charts help delineate what the difference is in a comparison about the program options we discussed. So in the length of field education, you can see the breakout here, but all three of the program options that are listed, so on campus in the 3-year evening only program and the online hybrid, the total is still 1050 or 1,050 hours total, but the hours and how they're achieved in each of the years of internship slightly differ. Next slide. Yep. Okay. And then this next part of the comparison is when you're talking about the curriculum is the same because you're earning the same MSW degree, regardless of if you're on campus or online hybrid program. There are some comparisons in here in which most of the curriculum is the same, but one highlight we want to remind you is that for 3-year evening only students, you're limited to the children, youth, and family option at this time. The format of the academic courses, not field education, because all field education or internship is in person, is that the on-campus program follows an in-person format in a traditional approximately 15-week semester pattern, whereas the online hybrid program is a combination of synchronous and asynchronous sessions. And the sessions are usually about 10 weeks. And the pattern of when these sessions occur, you can look at the example course plan that we had highlighted in an earlier slide, but it's basically a fall, a spring A, a spring B, and a summer within that type of sequence over 2 calendar years, including 1 summer in between. All students need to pass the graduate writing assessment requirement or the GWAR, and our course designation for that is Social Work 200W. The cost per unit, we had gone over this, and you can read this slide as well as the previous slide. What we want to highlight here again is that there are going to be fee increases, especially in the online hybrid program year after year because of what the university and the university system needs to make sure that program and curriculum can be offered. And then even in the on-campus program, the tuition has increased compared to previous years. There has not been an official announcement about future increases, but students, regardless of what option you choose, you should be checking to make sure that you're aware of your financial responsibilities and obligations for this. One of the other things that we want to highlight is that if you know students from the previous 3-year program, we used to use the term part-time as part of the name. Now, we eliminated the use of part-time because when you look at the bursars page, this is for on-campus 3-year students especially, you'll notice that the designation for fees has a cutoff point of what the university calls part-time enrollment and full-time enrollment. So for part-time tuition enrollment, it is 6 units in a semester or less, and anything above 6 units carries a full-time tuition fee. So when you're now thinking about our new 3-year evening only program, each semester in this new 3-year program exceeds 6 units. So that means you have to be prepared for paying a full-time tuition cost that is determined by the university for all 3 years or the 6 semesters that you're in the program. That is different from what the historical 3-year part-time program had, because the costs for that program was a little bit less, given that there were a few semesters that had less than 6 units or less. So for the new 3-year evening only program, and for all of the rest of you, please check the financial obligations and requirements for whatever option that you're choosing. Also, as a reminder, these are based on 2024 information. So when the university updates these, just remember that these figures may change. The training programs and credentials and certificates offered, pretty much the list is the same. So we're highlighting the IBH, Integrated Behavioral Health, PBH, Public Behavioral Health, APS, Adult Protective Services, and PPSC, as well as the advanced practice certificates. But you want to make sure that there are some differences, for example, in terms of the Spanish language counseling proficiency. What we are not able to offer is the actual Spanish language course in the online hybrid program at this time, again, because of enrollment size. However, you're able to take an exam in order to get the same type of proficiency evaluated. And then the Title IV Child Welfare Training Program is done primarily in the on-campus program, but there are some limited opportunities for online hybrid students for 4E. Again, please consult the chart and see where you might be interested in. The curriculum is the same for the advanced standing program in the on-campus and the online hybrid. However, remember that advanced standing students are applying to waive the entire generalist year, the first year of the MSW program. So you would still need to complete the summer bridge courses, as we had mentioned, the graduate writing requirement, and then you go into the final year choosing a particular area of interest. So the format, again, for advanced standing, all bridge courses, regardless of if you're on campus or online, are virtual. So the summer bridge courses for on-campus and online hybrid are virtual. But once you get into the final year of the curriculum in advanced standing, on-campus advanced standing students go to their courses in person. Advanced standing students in their final year in online hybrid have them virtual in a synchronous and asynchronous fashion. The summer bridge courses, we had mentioned the course numbers and the designations. You can read them here. They're basically 215, 243, and 200W. And then again, all students are required to pass the 200W GUAR course. There is no concurrent PPSC option and very limited and no Title IV option for advanced standing students. And then depending on how the format of the Spanish language counseling proficiency is governed, you either take the course or you take the exam. For the online hybrid program, you only have the exam option at this time. And then the stipend programs, if you're only looking at PBH, APS, and Santa Clara County Office of Ed and IBH, which are offered for final year students, advanced standing students can pursue interest in these particular specialized training and stipend programs. Sorry, Dr. Thomas, can you go back one slide?
Sure, did I skip one?
No, right there. So I do want to highlight that the Integrated Behavioral Health Stipend Program is available for online hybrid students. However, that program requires in-person seminar experiences because it's a Bay Area specific program. So for the IBH portion, online hybrid students are eligible for that. However, you need to be able to come to some of the in-person training seminars. And that's why it says final year students, that's true for both options, but that's why it says Bay Area only, because some students who live outside of the Bay Area were interested in integrated behavioral health, but they couldn't physically travel up to the Bay Area in order to fulfill the in-person seminar requirement. So again, just note that particular difference. And if you're interested, all of these programs have a project coordinator or some type of faculty lead, and you can get more information from them. Thank you, Dr. Thomas.
Next slide.
Yes, please. Is that forward or backward? This is forward, huh?
Yeah, this is forward. We're
Okay.
talking about the
So
cost.
this is, again, the estimates on the cost per unit for these programs, and this one highlights specifically advanced standing. So you can look at the cost breakdown in here. Make sure, again, that you check the university sources because there may be a change in the fees, but as of the time of this recording, this is the information we have. And the asterisks, we recognize that the estimates really should be based on fall 2024 information. But again, it's the student's responsibility to check what is the latest information and to plan your finances accordingly. The length of field education on campus is 630 hours in your final year, your specialized year, at averages 24 hours per week, hence the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday pattern that we had mentioned in an earlier slide. And then in the online hybrid portion is 525 hours in the specialized year, which is the final year of internship. The total amount of hours for advanced standing that we mandate here still meets and exceeds the requirement for CSWE accreditation. So sometimes students ask, why is it different between the two programs? And that's just because of the arrangement that we have with agencies, as well as how we do the supervision for our advanced standing students, dependent on the type of program that is chosen. Okay, so we get to these parts where it says, is an MSW program right for me? Okay, and so please do some serious thinking about this. And in fact, you should check with colleagues, folks that have graduated from not just our program, but other people who have graduated from an MSW program, who are current social workers, just to get an idea about, is this something that you're ready for? So in general, you definitely have to have an appreciation and passion for the social work profession, right? We're assuming that if you're ready for a graduate program in social work and you're applying to an MSW program, it's because you're looking to become a professional social worker. You also have an ability to work with clients and systems facing economic, social, emotional, psychological, and physical challenges. That's not a complete list, but you get the understanding about social work involves clients in some fashion, whether it's either direct or indirect practice. And then you also have to think about committing significant time and resources towards school, including your studying time and your internship. Now, it's important because we've highlighted this at the very beginning of the presentation, as well as just from experience, that we're surprised sometimes about how students who are in our program did not think ahead about some of these particular circumstances, requirements, expectations, and challenges that they might face. We don't want to assume what your situation is. Everybody has their own family, work, financial, psychological, emotional, situation, right? But you should be thinking ahead about, is social work the right profession for me? And then to extend that, is an MSW program right for me? And also, is San Jose State University School of Social Work MSW program right for me? All of these different considerations really should be done before you finish your application. And especially if you're admitted into our program, remember that every program has its strengths and weaknesses, and you just want to make sure that it's a good fit wherever you decide to go. Our mission, as described by the National Association of Social Workers, or NASW, is to enhance human well-being and help meet the basic human needs of all people. with particular attention to the needs and empowerment of people who are vulnerable, oppressed, and living in poverty. So if you're thinking about your values, both personal and professional, are consistent with the mission of our profession, then that's great. Then we would say, and hopefully you'll answer this question for yourself as, is an MSW program right for me? Okay, continuing on is continued level of academic preparation and maturity at a professional, personal, and academic levels. So oftentimes we have students who are academically sound, brilliant folks, but either their personality or their expectation or their impression about what social work means is that you can be the smartest person, but if you don't have the particular psychosocial preparation for this particular type of work, it can be very challenging. And so you want to make sure that your personality and your characteristics and your values also fit with that. And then you also have to be open to learning about professional standards, skills, ethics, and boundaries. A lot of times students are going into this profession thinking that I just want to help folks. This is something that was presented to me because it sounds like a very admirable profession. And then they forget that there are still particular skills and competencies and boundaries and ethics that we have to abide by. You're making a commitment towards recognizing and growing through your own social, emotional, and psychological circumstances. And so sometimes students also forget that even if they have oodles of experience or they think that they're well suited for this, everybody is on a journey in terms of learning. Learning is hopefully you view as a lifelong process. And so you're going to be discovering things about yourself. You might be very frustrated with how we teach courses or certain internships don't give you everything that you want. Or maybe it's very challenging and it's a great experience for you, but it's beyond what you expected. And it's like, wow, I'm very surprised about what I'm learning about myself and learning about others. So you need to think about your commitment and are you ready for this? That last thought point is you will face challenges during your education as well as your professional journey. And Professor Thomas can also comment on some of the things that she's observed. They would include for me situations where in the classroom, you're going to be talking about very difficult topics. I mean, when we talk about social work, it involves loss, it involves trauma, it involves very difficult situations, individuals, families, communities, society. It's hard. I mean, there are a lot of things out there, but that's why social work exists as a profession, because we're out there to try to solve these problems or to find a way to work together to make our society a better place. But sometimes students are not prepared for this. They walk into internship and they said, oh my goodness, I didn't realize that I would be facing so much difficulty, so much unhappiness, so much challenge. And sometimes it even triggers or it even creates some type of feelings or experiences that students are not prepared or fully prepared for. So social work is a challenging profession. It is definitely a needed profession, but make sure you do your research and also your self-examination to understand what is it that you think you're going to be encountering, how to expect that, and how you're going to be managing that. Dr. Thomas, you want to comment?
As you were talking about this, I thought of what has stood out to me, as I've seen applications or students, I also see them through the program for 2 years, right? What I see during post-COVID, Dr. Lee, is that, very intelligent and brilliant students with an astounding life journey come into the program because they've put together, a really compelling application. But what happens is they have a lot of unresolved trauma, right? And the program can intensify it, particularly because of its intensity, right? So I often think that, when you are writing the application, when you're preparing the application, if you feel that, you are not in that spot to actually take on this, think about it, reach out to your mentors, reach out to your family, and, have a very honest, transparent discussion of, is the degree right for me at this time? right? Do I need some more time, to just get healthy again, to, be in that space to work with clients who come with really more intense problems than you do, right? At times. Yeah. So that is something significant I've noticed post-COVID that, and all of us have, have this, society changed post-COVID. So I would say that a little more attention to your own personal journey where you are at this point when you submit the application. And to be prepared for the fact that there's 2 years of 3 years, whether it's online, whether it's on campus, the program is intense. And internships are learning opportunities, but you're still in a social service organization. The organization will expect you to work with clients.
Mhm. I would like to expand on Dr. Thomas's observation. Sometimes students, especially folks who are thinking about giving back to their community or they're inspired to join the profession because of their experience, they have the right heart and the right attitude for the profession, and they're even willing to face those types of challenges. But remember, there is also an academic and professional standard. So if you're a person who struggles with writing, or you're a person who struggles with the studying aspects, or needing other type of support to get through the academic and the professional preparation, please prepare for that as well. Because just having a good heart is and a very strong passion is also not complete. You still also have to meet the academic and the professional requirements. So with all of that put together, that's why we asked this question, is an MSW program right for me? And in the extension to that is the social work profession right for me?
That's an interesting point you bring up, Dr. Lee, because deadlines, right? In these 2 or 3 years of your journey, you will have assignment deadlines, you will have exams, you'll have to read significant material, you'll have group work, right? Group exercises. So to have that academic inclination and preparation is really, really important. That's an important point.
Okay, so these next series of slides, and we're almost at the end here, is reminding folks about the basic processes and steps for admissions. Okay, so when you visit our School of Social Work website, you will see a specific section for admissions. So we want to remind folks that application to our MSW program requires 2 applications. And Dr. Thomas always reminds me, 2 applications, okay? Because unfortunately, we have many examples where candidates have submitted and said, hey, I'm really interested in the MSW program. What happened? And it's because they forgot that there are 2 applications that are necessary. So when you apply to the master's program, you'll be directed, or you can seek out on its own webpage, the state level or the university level application, which is called Cal State Apply. All students who are applying to CSUs go through Cal State Apply, okay? And so it's anticipated that the Cal State Apply portal will open for our MSW program on October 1st, 2024. This is a screenshot of, this is a screen capture of something that we did from last time, because the new information at the time of this recording wasn't available yet. So we want to let you know that it's opening October 1st, 2024 for admission into fall 2025, okay? Second application, which is specifically for the School of Social Work and the MSW program, is expected to open before October 1st. Again, this is an old screenshot. The university is updating its information, but we wanted to try to give students or folks who are applying a little bit earlier view of the MSW program application, so that things like the personal statement, some of the documents that you have to collect specifically for the MSW application, you'll have a little bit more preparatory time for that, okay? But regardless of the opening time for the 2 applications, Cal State Apply and the MSW application specific to the School of Social Work, the deadline for all applications is anticipated to be on December 1st, 2024. Okay, so that means all of your supplementary material for both the Cal State Apply and the MSW specific application. So plan on its opening soon, and then plan on the due date for everything December 1st, 2024. Now, when we looked at the calendar, December 1st falls on a Sunday this year. So that means that you should think about your deadline and your preparation way before the due date, because the type of opportunity for you to use that weekend to finish is fine. But if you're thinking about asking last minute questions, there might not necessarily be folks available on the weekends to answer particular types of questions. So think ahead about what you need to do and to submit your application on time.
Dr. Lee, I want to draw the applicant's attention to that second bullet point in the screen capture.
Mm-hmm.
I do that because oftentimes applicants, get confused for the Cal State Apply. It's quite a simple application. So we have linked a guide. So before you start the Cal State application, please, review that guide. It's very comprehensive. It's very visual. And if you just take the time to, review the guide, then you will not have all the issues that come up when applicants try to do the Cal State Apply, right? And in a similar manner, we also will have a video on, submission of our own the MSW application. So before you start actually the process of, starting your application, there's preparation work there too. In addition to watching this video, look at the guides, look at the instructions before you actually sit to begin the application, because we see a lot of errors there. For example, one of the most constant error I see is that the student will start Cal State Apply and give a particular ID or a particular program option. They've forgotten what they've given there. And then in the MSW application, both this information does not match or it's incorrect, right? So, just even having a spreadsheet or a document where you just, write what email ID did I choose for my Cal State Apply, right? And does it match when I start my MSW application? So these little details, if you pay attention when you start your application, there are less chances of errors, and it also becomes much easier for you to follow up on your application progress and the admission decision.
So this next slide details what we have just mentioned as well. So remember, there are two applications: Cal State Apply, university level application, and the MSW program, which is the school level application. For Cal State Apply, please apply early so that you can obtain your SJSU ID number, and allow 5 to 10 business days for SJSU to email you that ID number. So like what Dr. Thomas is saying, you need to think about, planning ahead, and that Cal State Apply is a fairly straightforward, simple part of the process. So don't wait to the last minute, because sometimes applicants will say, oh my goodness, we don't have the SJSU ID number yet. And it's like, well, apply. Well, we don't like to say it, but we would say like, well, you should have applied earlier, right? So we're telling you who are viewing this recording, apply with that timeline in mind of how long it takes the university to issue the SJSU ID number, 5 to 10 business days. We're reminding you that the due date for both applications is December 1st, 2024, and that includes all materials. And then the admissions website is there. Dr. Thomas has already said it. Read and follow the directions carefully and view the information videos. We also want to highlight here, sorry, one moment.
Sure, sorry.
We also want to highlight here that when we talked about the stipend programs, especially Title IV-E, that often those have other application procedures. So application to the MSW program at San Jose State, 2 applications. But if you're applying to 4E, 4E has its own application. And if you're thinking about the other stipend programs, those also have an application process separate from, in addition to, these 2 applications.
Dr. Lee, one more housekeeping point.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes applicants will start their Cal State late and reach out to us to, I don't have an SJSU ID. So that's beyond our control. It's a university generated ID, and I cannot, or none of us in the admissions or in school can intervene and actually generate an ID for you. So you need to plan in advance to get that SGSU ID.
Okay. This is a screen capture of the Cal State Apply portal. The picture or the view itself might change, but we just want to let you know that Cal State Apply has its own portal. The MSW application portal can be accessed through our school website, and when it becomes live, you'll see the link that's available for applying soon for admission to fall 2025. So this is a screen capture of the page that we had used previously. You can expect that this will be updated, but we just wanted to give you an example of where to find the portal. So basic tips about applying. Before asking about the details of the application process, please review all of the materials posted online and in the MSW application portal. So Dr. Thomas will probably say things like, oh, I get questions about, well, what are the questions for the personal statement? Or what are the prerequisites to apply? Or what other type of training opportunities do I have? Can I do a clinical program at your school? All these are contained in the materials that we're presenting or have pre-recorded. We understand that there are often different ways people learn, and we also understand that there are different, that there's quite a bit of detail and information that is involved in getting to know our program. But what we're hoping in terms of making these types of recordings, as well as the material available on the website, and offering the Q&A sessions in the flip manner, that we're trying to address as many different approaches as we can to get you this information. But we're also asking you, if you're interested in applying to our program, that you do the preparatory work so that it's not just to benefit us in terms of the type of questions and the amount of questions that we get, but it also benefits you, because we don't want it to be a surprise about what type of program we offer, including the many opportunities that we have, but also the restrictions or the limitations that we have as well. So please review all of the material as best as you can so that you are informed. Resources. So how do students pay for the degree? So there's the financial aid and loan options. So the website is there. Grants and scholarships. So we're again encouraging to look for different grants and scholarships in the university as well as outside of the university. We made a comment about that earlier. And then think about the affordability and the spirit of social work. So if you think about the Council on Social Work Education, it has our university listed there, but there's also great resources from CSWE as well as NASW about just basic information about the social work profession and how you might also understand when you compare and contrast which MSW program you want to go to. Common questions. So Dr. Thomas and I will think a little bit about how we're going to answer these questions as we're approaching the end of our presentation. So some common questions are, what is one piece of advice you would give to someone wanting to apply to the program? What is the most difficult aspect in being in graduate school? What do you do with your degree after graduation? And why choose an MSW degree over others? Dr. Thomas, you want to choose one of those or a couple of those and start us off?
I would start off actually with the first one, Dr. Lee. Do you want me to start? The piece of advice?
Do you want to start or you want me to start?
Please start.
Okay, so what is one piece of advice that you would give to someone wanting to apply to the program? I would say make sure you do your research and do your exploration about yourself as well as other programs, and seek out your network about folks who are already social workers or people who have applied to our program. And oftentimes, my colleagues don't like me to say it in this fashion, and you'll see it from previous presentations recordings too, is that you will not hear me say that the School of Social Work at San Jose State University is the best program. And the reason why is because to me, it is goodness of fit, meaning that everyone is looking for something specific, not in just social work, but in any type of education or graduate program or even job or personal choices. It's goodness of fit. There are some things that we do very well, and we encourage you to find out what we do well, but we also encourage you to find the dirt on San Jose State University and what we do not do well. Oftentimes, students will come in and say they're very disappointed, or they thought they would get this particular experience. And in my mind, I'm just trying to help them understand we cannot be all things to all people. So I would say look at goodness of fit, not necessarily whether or not we have the best name or that university is very famous or that it has, particular type of opportunities. Think about what would be best for you and in the match of whether you think San Jose State's School of Social Work and our MSW program is the right fit for you.
Dr. Lee, my advice is more pragmatic. You gave a larger overview. So I would tell the applicant, after you've done everything that Dr. Lee advised you to do, I would say focus on the process of the application itself, right? It's really important to put together a strong and compelling applications, error-free, where details are paid attention to. So there are different aspects of the application, both in Cal State Apply and in the MSW applications. And I can't mention the number of errors and mistakes we see that disqualifies an applicant because they've missed a small detail. So take your time. We're trying to expedite the process that you get more time to actually, do your application, read all the instructions, read, even the smaller details. And then only when you feel that you've really, really figured out what it is that the application requires, that you should start the application process. What this means is prepare in advance. You cannot do a last minute application. And when you do that, those of us who review applications see that very clearly. This one was put together in a hasty manner. If there are mistakes, you've missed information. So prepare to apply for the program. It's a graduate program. It's competitive. There are many applicants, and you are in that sense in a kind of a race, right? You're running towards a goal. So you have to prepare for that.
Thank you. So in the second question about the most difficult aspect of being in graduate school, I would say, well, first of all, in as a follow-up to the first question, I'm still very proud of our School of Social Work and our bachelor's and master's program and what we offer here. So I think we offer a very good program, a quality program, but I just want to highlight again, depending on what you're looking for, you need to think about fit. So the most difficult aspect about being in graduate school, from seeing what students are experiencing and my own experience, I would say the intense 2 or 3 years that you're going to be spending with us, where your life is going to be very, very different. And I don't mean that in a positive or a negative way, because I love learning. And I think that people who are coming here, they're not only just trying to get the degree, but because they're excited about learning and preparing for the profession. But the 2 or 3 years that you're going to be spending with us, significant financial commitment, changing your schedule, making sure your family understands, why is it that you can't do the same things that you were accustomed to, because you're taking a class, you're on the computer, you're writing a paper, you're spending extra time in internship on top of working, and taking care of other responsibilities. So I would say the most difficult aspect is really acclimating and preparing and acclimating for this very intense period, for which is going to be, hopefully for you, a very worthwhile experience. But oh my goodness, it is a serious commitment. And so think about what changes and what type of things you will have to face, because it is going to be hard work. but anything worthwhile does take significant effort.
My observations are connected to what we discussed earlier and what you just said, Dr. Lee. The first one is, of course, academic preparation, which you just mentioned, right? The other two that I have seen as a student advisor, like what differentiates a successful student from a student who's struggling is being proactive. And I'm going to give a specific example, right? You are in graduate school, you're in a master's program. We do expect some amount of your own initiative. For example, I'll send out an email with, these are the requirements, this is the syllabus. And the students will not read that email and expect us to give every single detail, right? But that's not how it works. It's graduate school. The level of preparation and your own work that is expected is much higher, right? So just being proactive, reading emails, having a system of collecting and keeping information that in a manner that's accessible. Taking care of deadlines and seeing will you use a calendar? How do you track all that's required from you? So some of this is just being aware that you're in graduate school. There isn't going to be a lot of hand holding. You're expected to do this journey a little bit with your own initiative. And the second one that I'm increasingly seeing is the students' own ability to communicate, right? I see that students who are really successful, even in a difficult course, are the ones who communicate both to the professor, to the instructor, to their field internship, and telling them when they're struggling or telling them that they don't understand in a polite and respectful manner, right? So no one's going to judge you if you say you don't understand something. Communicate to your instructor. This is your opportunity to learn, and use that so that you walk out of your feeling like Dr. Lee said, these 2 years or 3 years have been very worthwhile. It challenged me. I learned something new. I learned, I could deal with environments that are ambiguous, that sometimes challenge or threaten me. So that's my 2 cents of advice for what is the most difficult aspect of being in graduate school.
Thank you. I'm going to combine the last two dot points. What do you do with your degree after graduation, and why choose an MSW degree over others? I would say, first of all, that I'm biased because I'm a social worker. Is that an MSW degree does provide a wider range of employment opportunities compared to some of the allied professions, such as counseling or MFT or any of those others. And it's not to say that being a social worker is better per se, but I'm going to use that term again as goodness of fit. So what is it that you're trying to achieve in your professional journey? So an MSW degree leads to abilities to do clinical therapy. It also leads to opportunities for macro practice. It also leads to other types of careers and jobs that are in pretty much any setting that you can think of. And that ranges from like traditional ones like county offices, schools, hospitals, jails, but it also leads to other maybe non-traditional settings that social work is just needed because the preparation is so diverse that it is one of those degrees that is and professionals that are very sought after in that way. However, if you do know that you want to be the person who does the psychological testing, or you're the person that wants to go into a branch of medicine that also is interested in the therapy. So you're going to go the medicine and psychiatry track, or you want to be the psychologist, or you're only going to be doing marriage therapy, or something like that. Then you should think about a degree that's going to get you there, maybe with more specific training and maybe even faster. So you're going to be choosing an MSW degree if it's the best opportunity and the best fit for what type of career opportunities you're looking for. So what do you do with your degree after graduation? I think the employment opportunities, as I had mentioned, are much more diverse, a wider range of opportunities after you have your MSW. And then there's actually some students who find that they want to pursue something that's connected to social work. So as a stepping stone, some people go to get another degree like in public health, or they go on to law school, or they go on to a PhD or a social work doctorate program. because they enjoy what they've done and they want to take the next step in their academic and professional career. So it's not only just finding the job, so to speak, but it's also a stepping stone to maybe additional training or academic preparation that you might be interested in.
I think you pretty much said everything. And I just want to add that I think the social work profession also has a lot of emphasis on internship and practice experience. In some sense, that's a very unique strategy or approach to actually preparing social workers for the profession. And it gives us 2 years to actually experiment or even, put ourselves in situations that, you know, will tell us, do I actually want to do this, right? I have students who come in and say, oh, I love working with children, Dr. Thomas, and they'll do 1 year of internship and they'll realize, oh my God, that's really not my area of interest, right? I want to work, say, with immigrant communities, right? So this is also social work provides that avenue for you to look at different options and explore what you really want to do with the degree itself because of the internships.
Okay.
Slide.
Second to the last slide here. So how do I apply? So when does the application cycle open? We had mentioned the Cal State Apply opens October 1. We're trying to get the MSW application portal open as soon as possible. Do you only have fall admissions? Yes. And the reason why is because our cycle is in such a way that we start our course plan and our cohorts in the fall of every year. The exception to that is advanced standing students who will start their bridge courses in the summer prior to the fall. How do I know if I qualify for the program? So look on our website and there are prerequisites in terms of application. So when you think about the GPA requirement, minimum 2.5 GPA, when you think about we're looking at social work experience, the quality of your recommendations, and then the quality of your answers to the personal statement. And so there are basic requirements and prerequisites to qualify to apply. And then it just depends on the pool every year. Sometimes we get like hundreds and hundreds of applicants. Sometimes we don't get quite as many. And so in terms of qualify for the program, think of prerequisites and then also how many students we're trying to admit each year. What qualities do you look for in a successful student? I think in Dr. Thomas's and my answers to the previous slide, you can extrapolate and surmise that a successful student is a person who has really done the research and the introspection about the fit for the profession, really being ready not only for the academic preparation, but also the personal preparation and professional preparation. We're looking for students who are willing to learn, but also to take responsibility for their own learning, to be proactive with the communication, to be professional, to be courteous, to be collaborative. It doesn't mean that we're always trying to improve and we're looking for opportunities to receive feedback. We have opportunities through student government as well as representation of students and our faculty governance and our faculty meetings. So feedback can be generated that way. And so what we're looking for is pretty much what we described throughout this process in the application, that we're looking for students who are passionate, good fit, ready for all those areas of growth, and really are focusing on our mission. Is there application assistance and what is the acceptance rate? I'm going to pause my answers here because I'm going to ask Dr. Thomas to fill in what she wants, but specifically to answer the application assistance portion.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. Yes, there is application assistance if you're struggling with, say, particular elements of the application. For example, you've submitted a recommendation form and you're not sure if it went through or how you can do that. There is support available both in Cal State Apply and at the School of Social Work, but we do not provide any assistance for actually reviewing or reading your personal statement. The admissions committee will not review or read your personal statement. So you will have to get somebody outside, your mentor or your faculty, to read and review your personal statement. Again, if it's just general application related difficulties like, some particular link is not working or how do I submit a recommendation? You submitted it, it didn't go through. the school and the university, there's troubleshooting, but no reading of essays or reviewing your essay and commenting on it before you submit the application.
Thank you.
And what is the acceptance rate? Like Dr. Lee said, depends on the pool of applicants we get. Yeah. Generally, we say 25%, 1 in 4. Is that the number, Dr. Lee? Am I right about that?
Historically, it has ranged between 1 in 3 and 1 in 4.
Yeah.
And it also depends also in terms of how many students we have budget to fit into our program. So this year, the admissions class for fall 2024, we actually expanded the admissions for our online hybrid program. We usually accept about 75 in our online program, but this year we added a cohort, so we're admitting 100 this year. We expect to admit 100 in our online program next year, and between about 90 and 100 in our on-campus 2-year program, and between 30 and 35 in our 3-year evening-only program. Now, what Dr. Thomas is referring to is that when we have times in which we receive like hundreds and hundreds of applications, then of course the acceptance rate is lower because it's more competitive. But there are some years where the application pool is a little bit smaller. And as long as the applicant qualifies and we feel that they're going to be successful in our program, then we admit as many as we can. But remember, not just our graduate program, but any graduate program is competitive in nature. And it's not, and if folks are not admitted to our program, it's not because you don't have good qualifications. It means usually that there's just more applicants than we have room for. And so the other part of the advice that we would give is you should think about how to apply to as many MSW programs as you can so that you can increase your opportunity to be admitted somewhere, especially if you already know that you want to be a social worker.
Just to add one more point to that, Dr. Lee, the acceptance rate for the advanced standing is a little different. The requirements and the process of getting admitted to the advanced standing is a little more stringent, simply because a student admitted into the advanced standing program can skip the entire first year of their master's degree.
Mhm.
And at least in the San Jose State School of Social Work, we do really want to select applicants who are prepared and who bring a nuanced understanding of the program itself. So even if you have a BSW degree and you have a good GPA and you have some social work experience, we still review that application, with the idea that you're going to skip the first year of the master's program. And therefore, what are your strengths that, convinces us that, you are ready to actually, just enter the second year and skip that 1 year of internship. So the acceptance rate there is quite different.
Mhm. Okay, and that's a good segue to the final informational slide. So can current BASW students apply for advanced standing? Yes, they can. But as Dr. Thomas had mentioned, the part about the competitiveness. So we share this with students who have been admitted to our advanced standing program previously. The number of advanced standing students that we've had in those pools is only, I think the most we've ever had is 4. And sometimes we admit, 3 to 4, 4 to 5. It depends if they decide to come. And we do get several dozen of applicants that are interested in advanced standing. And so your reaction in hearing this is probably, my goodness, you only admit 3 or 4. And the reason why that is because what Dr. Thomas had said is we are responsible for making sure that our graduates are ready for the profession. It doesn't mean that there isn't continuous learning after you graduate, but remember, you're skipping an entire year of graduate work. And so we want to make sure that those students are prepared, and that's why we're so selective. So it doesn't mean that we're discouraging you from applying to advanced standing, but we want to be transparent about that it is, at least at our school, difficult to get into advanced standing. So think ahead about remember, it's above and beyond for your field education. your academic preparation, as well as the recommendations that you're getting, because you have to convince us that you are ready to skip an entire year and go into the final year of an MSW program. The 4E stipend program, as well as the other training programs that we are now involved in, PBH, APS, IBH, PBSC, those, they're all somewhat competitive. However, the good news is that because there's more training stipend opportunities, that means there's more total opportunities for students to choose from. So yes, each of those programs are competitive because we do receive more applicants than we have spots for. However, if you're interested in some type of specialized practice and training, we have more of those programs available. So we would still encourage you to apply to the ones that you think that you are interested in. Our student body is very diverse, and it's not just in terms of identity of race and ethnicity, but we're also talking about background, we're talking about age, we're talking about other aspects of identity. And that is something that I think is important, not just because of our School of Social Work, but also San Jose State University, which is seated in the Bay Area. The Bay Area is one of the most diverse communities in the entire nation. And of course, California in itself is very diverse. So look again at what type of students we have. You can actually visit the university's website to see what type of student body profile we have, and then also talk to other folks who have actually either been at San Jose State or have experience with San Jose State if you're interested in learning more about the diversity that we have here. Our students in the on-campus program all expected to be on campus? Yes. Dr. Thomas, do you have anything else to say?
That's it, Dr. Lee. Just the last one. Yes, you're expected to be on campus. You cannot take online classes if you're in the on-campus program.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much for your interest in our MSW program. We're looking forward to meeting you. Again, this is a flip method, so we hope that you've endured and you survived the entire time of the presentation. We've talked a long time, but again, the advantage of the recording is that you can pause, you can review, you can repeat. And so we hope that you either in one sitting or in multiple sittings have reviewed this information so that when you come to Q&A or you contact us, you would have gone through this material as well as the other material presented. Dr. Thomas, any one last word that you would like to say before we say goodbye on this recording?
Yes, Dr. Lee, your personal statement. Please review it after writing it a couple of times before you submit it.
Okay. And for me, I'm just going to say we would love to have you here at San Jose State. Again, consider carefully whether this is the best fit for you. We would enjoy having you as our students and our colleagues. And regardless if you come here or not and you go to another MSW program, we're still colleagues. We're here to help improve the well-being of others and to help assist society so that our world can be a better place. And we just really thank you for the time that you spent with us to learn about our program. On behalf of San Jose State University, our College of Health and Human Sciences, and the School of Social Work, thank you again.
Thank you.